Hi there, everyone. Welcome to the Daily Gardener. I'm your host, Geoffr Ebling. It's July 17th. The daylilies are blooming their little hearts out right now. Daylilies are in the genus Hemerocallis, which has about 15 species of daylilies. They're not part of the Lilium genus, which is the genus for true lilies. The name Hemerocallis comes from the Greek word hemera for day and callis for beautiful. In China, the daylily symbolizes motherhood. The common name alludes to the flowers, which typically last a day. The daylily flower stems are called scapes, and as one fades, the next scape opens, keeping daylilies blooming for weeks or even months. Daylilies have been dubbed the perfect perennial because of their many wonderful features. They're low maintenance, they add beautiful color to the garden, they're tremendously drought tolerant, and they can grow in most zones. Here's today's brevities. On this day in 1850, the Sydney Morning Herald shared an ad from plantsman John McMahan. McMahan advertised that he had put together a catalog of nearly 2,000 species of plants for his customers. McMahan assured that, quote, plants securely packed for long journeys, glazed plant cabins prepared, and filled with rare plants for transmission to Europe. And today's the anniversary of the death of the botanist Charles Theodore Mohr, who died on this day in 1901. Mohr was one of Alabama's first botanists. He was born in Germany and was a trained pharmacist. He traveled the world before settling in Alabama. He collected in Suriname, immigrating to the United States in 1848. He took part in the California Gold Rush, lived briefly in Mexico, Indiana, and Kentucky. Mohr spent decades gathering information and plant specimens for his work. In 1857, he started Charles Mohr and Son Pharmacists in Mobile, Alabama. When Mohr's book on the plants of Alabama was published, he was 77 years old. Today, there are at least half a dozen plants named in Mohr's honor. And today, George William Russell, the poet who went by the pseudonym A.E., died in 1935. Russell attended the Metropolitan School of Art in Dublin. There he met the poet William Butler Yeats. His popular quotes include the following: "Our hearts were drunk with a beauty our eyes could never see," and "You cannot evoke great spirits and eat plums at the same time." Today's the anniversary of the death of one of the 20th century's leading landscape architects, Sir Geoffrey Jellicoe. Jellicoe was multi-talented, but his true passion was landscape and garden design, which he described as the mother of all arts. He was a founding member of the Landscape Institute. Over his 70-year career, he designed more than 100 landscapes around the world. Jellicoe designed the John F. Kennedy Memorial at Runnymede, but his final and most ambitious project was the Moody Gardens in Galveston, Texas. Jellicoe imagined a design where visitors could walk through the history of landscape, from the Garden of Eden and the gardens of ancient Egypt to a design inspired by Thomas Mann's novel, The Magic Mountain. As the Moody Garden website acknowledges, it was the culminating work of his design career, but has not as yet been implemented. We live in hope. Jellicoe's favorite garden was the garden he designed in Hemel Hempstead. He hoped the water gardens would improve the quality of life for the townspeople. He designed a canal with dams and little bridges to take visitors from the town parking lot to shopping. Jellicoe designed the canal after seeing one of Paul Klee's paintings of a serpent. Jellicoe said, "The lake is the head, and the canal is the body. The eye is the fountain. The mouth is where the water passes over the weir." For today's Unearthed Words, here's a poem from Niels Mogens Boedecker, who was an illustrator and author of children's books. Mosquito is out. It's the end of the day. She's humming and hunting her evening away. Who knows why such hunger arrives on such wings at sundown? I guess it's the nature of things. Today's book recommendation is A Year in Trees by J.C. Ralston and Kim Tripp. Ralston and Tripp point out that just 40 species of shrubs and trees make up 90% of the landscape plantings in the United States. The book is divided into 4 parts corresponding to the seasons. Tripp honed her craft at Harvard's Arnold Arboretum, and she wrote weekly articles for the North Carolina State University Arboretum in Raleigh. Those articles became the backbone for the 150 profiles of trees, shrubs, and vines featured in the book. Ralston and Tripp focused on plants that were low maintenance and reliable. This is a terrific resource featuring some very underused but amazing trees. For today's garden chore, it's time to set appointments on your calendar to accomplish your bigger garden to-dos before the summer comes to a close. Sometimes it helps to calendarize the garden jobs that seem a little overwhelming or that require extra help or resources. There's no time like the present to line up a contractor, some volunteers, or good friends to get the job done. Plus, it'll make next year in the garden so much more enjoyable. And I hate to bring this up, but here's an eye-opening fact. There are just 46 days to Labor Day. Time's a-wastin'. Finally, here's something sweet to revive the little botanic spark in your heart. On this day in 1891, the Great Bend Weekly Tribune reported that Will Ferger's night-blooming cereus unfolded its loveliness last night. Quite a number witnessed the blooming of this rare plant, and many have envied its owner. The night-blooming cereus is one of the most unique desert plants. It's a member of the cactus family, and native to Arizona and the Sonora Desert. The plant is also commonly called the Queen of the Night or the Princess of the Night. The cereus is generally grown as a houseplant, and it's often a pass-along plant, passed on to friends and family. Thanks for listening to The Daily Gardener, and remember, for a happy, healthy life, garden every day. The Daily Gardener is produced weekdays in lovely Maple Grove, Minnesota. You can find complete show notes over at thedailygardener.org, and be sure to share the show with your garden friends. You can find The Daily Gardener on all your favorite social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest, and of course, Facebook. While you're over at Facebook, don't forget to join the Daily Gardener community. Just search for these 3 words, Daily Gardener Community. The group will pop right up, and then request to join. Finally, I want to thank my team at Podfly Productions, where my fabulous editor is Eric Begay. Have a great day in the garden, and we'll see you tomorrow.